Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtipraishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Krishna book, 87th chapter, prayers by the personified Vedas. So, long purport. So, let's start from where we ended last time. So there, Prabhupada talked about the super soul and the soul, living entity. The super soul is always Sat, Chit, and Ananda, no matter how big the body of the living entity. But the living entity, as Prabhupada said, the intelligence of the individual soul is exhibited like fire in the wood. Although fire is always fire, it is exhibited in a size proportionate to the size of the wood. So further, now Prabhupada says, but the individual living soul. So, but means because he explained about super soul. Super soul is ekrasa, means one, mellow. He is always the same. It does not change. But the individual soul, from Lord Brahma down to the ant, exhibits his spiritual potency according to his present body. The demigods are in the same category with the individual souls in the bodies of human beings or the bodies of lower animals. The demigods are in the same category, means they all are spirit souls covered by different kinds of material bodies. Intelligent persons, therefore, do not worship different demigods who are simply infinitesimal representatives of Krishna, manifest in conditioned bodies. The individual soul can exhibit his power only in proportion to the shape and constitution of the body. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, can exhibit his full potencies in any shape or form without any change. So our exhibition of power or any capabilities are dependent on the proportion and to the shape and constitution of the body. So Prabhupada explains further. But Krishna is not conditioned like that. The Mayavadi philosopher's thesis that God and the individual soul are one and the same cannot be accepted because the individual soul has to develop his power according to the development of different types of bodies. The individual soul in the body of a baby cannot show the full power of a grown man, that we all know. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, even when lying on the lap of his mother as a baby, could exhibit his full power by killing Putana and other demons who attacked him. So he is always God, even though he was only, apparently in the past time, he was only 6 days old when he killed Putana. How many 6 days old babies can do anything? Human babies can do anything in this world? Nothing. Thus, the spiritual potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is said to be Ek Rasa, or without any change. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, therefore, is the only worshipable object, and this is perfectly known to persons who are uncontaminated by the modes of material nature. So, and this is perfectly known to persons who are uncontaminated by the modes of material nature. So uncontaminated means the spiritual people, those who are spiritually evolved, they only can know this. In other words, only the liberated souls can worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Less intelligent Mayavadis take to the worship of the demigods, thinking that the demigods and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are on the same level, but they are not. Even constitutionally or logically, they're not on the same level. The personified Vedas continue to offer their obeisances. Dear Lord, they prayed, after many, many births, those who have actually become wise to take the worship of a lotus feet in complete knowledge. So even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmana Mante Ma Gyanvan Mam Prapadyate. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, wherein the Lord says that after many, many births, a great soul or Mahatma surrenders unto the Lord, knowing well that Vasudeva Krishna is the cause of all causes. So this is the outcome of knowledge. And if we don't come to this part of knowledge, that Krishna is the cause of all causes, then there's not knowledge. Then we haven't studied Vedas. The Vedas continue. As already explained, since the mind, intelligence, and senses have been given to us by God, when these instruments are actually purified, there is no alternative but to engage them all in the devotional service of the Lord. A living entity's entrapment in different species of life is due to the misapplication of this mind, his mind, intelligence, and senses in material activities. So, how much we engage our mind, intelligence, and senses in material activities, that decides if we are going to be entangled again in a material body or not. Not just the senses, not just the working senses, and we think I'm doing the service, but the mind is everywhere, all over the universe, trying to find some sense gratification here and there. It's still better than not doing the service, but it's not the perfection. A living entity's entrap. Okay. Various kinds of bodies are awarded as a result of a living entity's actions. And they're created by material nature according to the living entity's desire. So it's not that Krishna or Yamaraji is going to just give us a body, just toss the coin, okay, you'll get human body in America in this family, and you will get animal body in Africa in this family. No, it's all according to living entities' desire and what kind of karmas we have. Or in this body, whatever kind of karmas I'm doing, and depending upon that, or in what kind of association I'm having, depending upon that, I will have my desires, because my consciousness will be like that. And accordingly, I'll get a next body. Because a living entity desires and deserves a particular kind of body, it is given to him by the material nature, under the order of the Supreme Lord. Yes, karmana devanetrena jantur devarupapatte. So whatever we desire and deserve, Prabhupada uses this word, deserves a particular kind of body. I can desire to be born in White House of America. But if I deserve only, if I don't deserve a human form, I might get a form of an insect or an animal or a cockroach or a rat in White House. So all this data is kept by Paramatma. Which living entity is desiring what and how much does it deserve? Then he does the sanctioning. And the material nature then works and gives us the body. Not so easy. In Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, it is explained that under the control of superior authority, a living entity is put within the semen of a male and injected into the womb of a particular female in order to develop a particular type of body. So many times in some families and villages, or even in the cities, or those who don't know, they generally blame the mother. Okay, because of you, I'm only getting girls born in this family, and you are to be blamed. And then they do all sorts of nonsense things against that mother. But here, Bhagavatam says, under the control of superior authority, a living entity or the soul is put within the semen of a male. And what kind of body that soul is going to get is according to his desires and his karmas, means whatever he deserves, he or the soul. So that semen goes from male body into the body of the mother and then interacts with the ovum, and then further development happens in the womb of the mother. So mother is not responsible, but people just want to blame the ladies and then exploit them and then do all sorts of nonsense things against them. A living entity utilizes his senses, intelligence, and mind, and so on in a specific way of his own choosing, and thus develops a particular type of body within which he becomes encaged. It's a living entity or the soul, and here Prabhupada, within which he becomes engaged, and because the soul could be male or female, because whatever our spiritual body is, so the soul becomes encaged, so means the cage of the body, and the soul enters and develops a particular type of body and becomes encaged. Encaged also, it's like a prisoner within the body. But at the same time, we start thinking, I am this body. That's another level of illusion or the conditioning. Very, very tightly controlled conditioning. In this way, the living entity becomes situated in different species of life, either in a demigod, human, or animal body, according to different situations and circumstances. It is explained in the Vedic literature that the living entities entrapped in different species of life are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Mame vansho jiva loke jivuta sanatana. They're all my anshas. The Mayavadi philosophers mistake the living entity for the Paramatma. But we are not Paramatma. We are just Atmas, who is actually sitting within the living entity as a friend, or sitting with the living entity as a friend. Because the Paramatma, the localized aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the individual living entity are both within the body, a misunderstanding sometimes takes place that there is no difference between the two. But there is a definite difference between the individual soul and the super soul. And it is explained in the Varaha Puran as follows. The Supreme Lord has two kinds of parts and parcels. The Supreme Lord means Krishna. The living entity is called Vibhin Ansha, and the Paramatma, or the plenary expansion of the Supreme Lord, is called Swa Ansha. The Swansha plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is as powerful as the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. So this is Paramatma, Swa Ansha. There is not even the slightest difference between the potency of the Supreme Person and that of His plenary expansion as Paramatma. It's only the pastimes are different, or the responsibilities are different. But potency-wise, all Vishnu Tattvas, all the same. But the Vibhinansha means the living entities. Parts and parcels possess only a minute portion of the potencies of the Lord. So minute portions, and that too not to the fullest extent. So we, at the most, we can have, Krishna has 64 qualities, we can have 55. That's all. And that too not to the fullest extent. The Narad Pancharatra states that the living entities, who are the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord, are undoubtedly of the same quality of spiritual existence as the Lord Himself, but they are prone to be tinged with the material qualities. So this is how Krishna has designed the system. We cannot change the design. Because the minute living entity is prone to be subjected to the influence of material qualities, he is called Jiva. And sometimes the Supreme Personality of Godhead is also known as Shiva, the all-auspicious one. So the difference between Shiva and Jiva is that the all-auspicious personality of Godhead is never affected by the material qualities, whereas the minute portions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are prone to be affected by the qualities of material nature. Because Jiva is so minute, he can, if he wants, he can come under the control of Maya or Mahamaya or Yogamaya. But the Lord, so as Prabhupada here says, he is also known as Shiva. It's not that Lord Shiva is Krishna. Why Prabhupada said, Shiva means the all auspicious. He just wanted to make a difference between Jiva and Shiva. Well, Lord Krishna is not Shivji, but Shivji is not Krishna. There's a difference between two of them. Shiva means all auspicious, just like Krishna means all attractive. But Krishna is all auspicious. Even taking his name is auspicious, seeing him is auspicious. But taking the name of any jiva is not auspicious. The super soul within the body of a particular living entity, being a plenary portion of the Lord, is worshipable by the individual living entity. Great sages have therefore concluded that the process of meditation is designed so that the individual living entity may concentrate his attention on the lotus feet of the super soul form, Vishnu. So the yogis, they concentrate on Vishnu, the super soul. That is real samadhi. Not as it's very popular among all the so-called yogic schools or meditation classes that you meditate on light or nothing or whatever. But this is not what Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita. You meditate on me, on the Supreme Lord, or on Super Soul form, Vishnu form, which is Chaturbhuja form. That is real samadhi. The living entity cannot be liberated from material entanglement by his own effort. He must therefore take to the devotional service of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, or the Super Soul within himself. Sridhar Swami, the great commentator on Srimad Bhagavatam, has composed nice verse in this regard, the meaning of which is as follows. My dear Lord, I'm eternally a part of you, but I have been entrapped by the material potencies, which are also an emanation from you. As a cause of all causes, you have entered my body as a super soul, and I have the prerogative of enjoying the supreme blissful life of knowledge along with you. Therefore, my dear Lord, please order me to render you loving service so that I can again be brought to my original position of transcendental bliss. So Sridhar Swami is saying, I have been entrapped, okay, but you have entered my body as a super soul, as Paramatma. You're there with me always. And now it is my prerogative or the special right of enjoying the supreme blissful life of knowledge along with you. But the problem is, most of living entities, they don't do that. We think we can enjoy it without Him, but we cannot. Whatever we try to do without serving the Lord, it's just going to bind us more and more and more and more. And Sridhar Swami said, please order me to render you loving service. Please order me. Means I'm your servant. You can order me. Please order me. So that I can again be brought to my original position of transcendental bliss. This is our original position. Material world, for whatever reason we have fallen here thinking I can be happy, I want to be blissful, I want to be the enjoyer. Here will not work, but still Krishna stays with us as a super soul, trying to tell us this is not the place for you. Get out of here. Real bliss is in my service. But still, we don't want to serve Him. We want to try to serve our senses. Senses can never be pleased, never, 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 ever be pleased. But throughout our life, we're trying to enjoy the senses, serve the senses, thinking I can be happy this way or that way by making lots of money, by getting this power and getting this position and getting this title, I can be happy. By getting this car, I will be happy. By traveling to this place, I will be happy. Can't be. If I think I can be happy by taking a trip to Europe, well, those who are living in Europe, they're not happy. So how can I be happy by just taking a trip to Europe for a week or 10 days? Or going to America or going to other places. Happiness is all within us. And even if I go to Europe or maybe go to in India, go to for some sightseeing, say Kashmir or whatever. Basically what I'm gonna see, some mountains, lakes, maybe rivers. And then what? Is it gonna make me happy? Some better weather, okay, it's too hot in Delhi, let's go to Kashmir, it's really cold. Okay, fine. So we are in cold weather for a while. But then what? We have to come back to Delhi. So where is the happiness? But this is what the travel industry, they sell their places, tourist spots. Oh, you go there on vacation, 3 days, 4 nights, or whatever, however they sell it. Oh, you'll be happy. And then they show wonderful pictures of that place. And I'm thinking, sitting in my whatever apartment or house in Delhi, oh, see, I'm so miserable here. I'll be very happy if I go there and spend whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lakhs of my rupees. And then I go there. It's the same thing. If I was supposed to be happy, there the people who are living there, why they are not happy? Why they are waiting for some tourists to come and give them some money? and some business. There is no happiness in the material world. It's just a mirage, illusion. Happiness is all within us, trying to serve the Lord, loving service of the Lord. That's great personalities understand that a living entity entangled in this material world cannot be freed by his own efforts. With firm faith and devotion, such great personalities engage themselves in rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord. With firm faith and devotion, such great personalities engage themselves in rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord. That is the verdict of the personified Vedas. And in that transcendental loving service, wherever the Lord takes them, the devotees are always happy. Doesn't matter whether it's the heat of Delhi or really, really cold weather of, say, Siberia or wherever. Devotees are always happy. The personified Vedas continue. Dear Lord, it's very difficult to achieve perfect knowledge of the absolute truth. Your Lordship is so kind to the fallen souls that you appear in different incarnations and execute different activities. You appear even as a historical personality of this material world, and your pastimes are very nicely described in the Vedic literature. So you appear even as a historical personality of this material world, and your pastimes are very nicely described in the Vedic literature. Why? Such pastimes are as attractive as the ocean of transcendental bliss. People in general have a natural inclination to read narrations in which ordinary jivas are glorified. But when they become attracted by the Vedic scriptures which delineate your eternal pastimes, they actually dip into the ocean of transcendental bliss. Again, Prabhupada used this word. Your pastimes are as attractive as an ocean of transcendental bliss, not just a drop. Ocean. Ocean means nobody can find out how deep the ocean is, how much water is there in an ocean. So how much bliss is in pastimes of Krishna, nobody can understand. And especially when these pastimes are spiritual or transcendental, the bliss is always increasing, or the ocean, the size of the ocean is always increasing. That is the power of Krishna's pastimes. How many times, when we were little, we used to go to see this Ram Leela in the Pandal during Dashara, Diwali time. Same pastimes, and very crudely done. It's not like very hi-fi or very sophisticatedly done. No, very crudely done. But we would enjoy it. Same pastimes, same dialogues, pretty much the same, everything, every year. But we would just enjoy those pastimes of Ram and Hanuman and Lakshman, whatever, all these pastimes. Because they have that kind of quality of giving us the bliss. And that's why Prabhupada says, ocean of transcendental bliss. People in general have a natural inclination to read narrations in which ordinary jivas are glorified. And this is what we read. Whether it's a sports person or movie person or a politician or a big businessman or whatever, cop or whoever has done great things, and we like to read. But most of the time, we are envious of them. Why they are getting the attention, why I am not getting the attention. But when it comes to Krishna, but when they become attracted by the Vedic scriptures which delineate your eternal pastimes, they actually dip into the ocean of transcendental bliss. As a fatigued man feels refreshed by dipping into a reservoir of water, so the conditioned soul who is very much disgusted with material activities becomes refreshed and forgets all the fatigue of material activities simply by dipping into the transcendental ocean of your pastimes. But the dipping into transcendental ocean doesn't mean we have to imitate his pastimes, just hearing of his pastimes. That's why Maharaj Pratap Rudra, when he went and he was serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during the Rath Yatra time, and Mahaprabhu was tired and he was lying down in that garden, and he asked Maharaj Pratap Rudra, and Maharaj Pratap Rudra started singing Gopi Gita along with massaging the body of Mahaprabhu. And then he said, Tava Kathamritam, Tapta Jivanam. Tapta Jivanam. Every jiva is suffering in this material. But your Katha is Tava Kathamrita. It's an Amrit, it's a nectar, and moreover, it takes us away from this material world. Kavibhiriditam kalmashapam. Shravana Mangalam Shri Madadatam. Bhuvi Grinanti Te Bhurida Jana. And those Jana, Bhurida Jana, those devotees, those sadhus who are speaking of your Katha, Tava Kathamritam, they are doing the most beneficial activity. And Mahaprabhu said, you are the most beneficial, most munificent. And this we can only relish. And slowly, when we get really disgusted with the material activities, we can really relish these pastimes. And we just want to sit down and just hear and hear, listen and listen. Like, look, see how Maharaj Parikshit is relishing. Simply by dipping into the transcendental ocean of your pastimes. And eventually he merges into the ocean of transcendental bliss. So now this merging is not that he loses his identity. Merges means he just doesn't want to come out anymore. The most intelligent devotees, therefore, do not take to any means of self-realization except devotional service and constant engagement in the 9 different processes of devotional life, especially hearing and chanting. This is the foundation. And not just the foundation, this is the perfection. How we do our hearing and chanting. It starts from there, and this is the path, and there is no ending. Because just like an ocean, there is no end of the ocean, especially when the ocean is always increasing in its size. And this is it. Gopis are also always hearing and chanting Krishna's names, Krishna's pastimes. And the Baba Yashoda Maya, always hearing and chanting. Everybody. When hearing and chanting about your transcendental pastimes, your devotees do not care even for the transcendental bliss derived from liberation or from merging into the existence of the Supreme. So there is some happiness, some bliss in liberation of merging into Brahm Jyoti, but devotees, they don't care for that. Such devotees are not interested even in so-called liberation, and they certainly have no interest in material activities for elevation to the heavenly planets for sense gratification. So no interest in all these things. Pure devotees seek only the association of Paramhansas or great liberated devotees so that they can continuously hear and chant about your glories. This is how powerful it is. They can continuously hear and chant. So when we go and are in the association of some senior sadhus, senior Vaishnavas, so this should be our goal. So we can hear and chant more about the glories of the Lord. Not that we want to give them our association by telling them how good I am and how many problems I have, or how many bodily discomforts I have, and how great I am even after going through all this. I'm still serving and I'm doing this kind of service, glorifying my own. We have to hear from them. For this purpose, the pure devotees are prepared to sacrifice all comforts of life, even giving up the material comforts of family life and so-called society, friendship, and love. Prabhupada, at the age of 69, he left Vrindavan, he left India. Here at age of 50, 55, we want to leave everything and go to Vrindavan, live for the rest of our lives. Prabhupada left Vrindavan at the age of 60 to go to where? Come to America. No sadhu no Vaishnava had come here before. And there was no place for him to come and stay. Yes, he knew this Gopal Agarwal in Butler, Pennsylvania. That's about it. He didn't know anything about him. Only he just had heard his name and he met his father in Mathura. In Kurukshetra, his father was from Mathura. That was about it. But Prabhupada was ready to sacrifice all comforts of life. Coming here, now when we go to India, it takes us 24 hours and we are there and comfortably say, oh, okay, whatever discomforts are there in the flight. But it's not all the discomforts Prabhupada had to go through while sitting in the cargo ship, seasickness, cooking for himself, vomiting, had 2 heart attacks on the way at the age of 69. Taking 40 days to come to USA. 40 days, all alone, sitting in that cargo ship cabin. That is sacrifice. And Prabhupada says, even giving up the material comforts of family life and so-called society, friendship, and love. And Prabhupada gave everything up. For what? To start a movement which nobody had even heard of. No plans. Didn't know what he's going to do, what he's going to eat, where he's going to stay. Had no idea. Now when we go, we make all the arrangements. I'm going to stay here and I have these problems health-wise, so I bet my prasadam should be like this and that, and I don't eat this, I don't eat that. Prabhupada had no options. And he was coming here to do what? Not for sightseeing. He wasn't coming for just to go around to see some places. He was here to be with the most fallen, degraded society people. It's not like he was mixing with high-class scholars, hippies, drug addicts, those who had left their homes, or those who were kicked out of their homes, and breaking the 4 regulative principles, all 4 of them, every day was their natural way of living. And this is what Prabhupada was associating with and preparing them. for devotion service. And through them, Prabhupada did wonderful things. And this is what pure devotees do. Those who have tasted the nectar of devotion by relishing the transcendental vibration of chanting your glories. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Do not care for any other spiritual bliss or for material comforts, which appear to the pure devotees as less important than the straw in the street. And Prabhupada came here. He sat in that Tompkins Square Park and he just chanted with his followers. Didn't even have mridanga, didn't even have kartal, just one small drum, and he was playing on it. Had full faith in holy names, full faith in Srimad Bhagavatam, full faith in the words of his Guru. That's all. That's a pure devotee. That's the power of a pure devotee, what he can do. The personified Vedas continue. Dear Lord, when a person is able to purify his mind, senses, and intelligence by engaging himself in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, his mind becomes his friend. Otherwise, his mind is always his enemy. And this is what even Arjuna told Krishna. I cannot control the mind, so difficult. And Krishna told him that the mind which is controlled is your best friend. Otherwise, it's the worst of the enemies. And how many of us can say, mind is in my control? Nobody can say that. Mind devises all kinds of schemes and all kinds of tricks, all kinds of excuses, because it's not in our control. When the mind is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, it becomes an intimate friend of the living entity, because the mind can then think of the Supreme Lord always. But here some of our working senses might be engaged in the service of the Lord. Knowledge acquiring senses, mind to be engaged takes time, takes lots of practice and detachment. Your Lordship is eternally dear to the living entity. So when the mind is engaged in thought of you, one immediately feels the great satisfaction for which he has been hankering life after life. Ultimately, yes, Krishna is Rishikesha and he is a center of all attraction. So mind should be engaged, but mind continuously keeps on playing games with us. When one's mind is thus fixed on the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one does not take to any kind of inferior worship or inferior process of self-realization. By attempting to worship a demigod or by taking to any other process of self-realization, the living entity becomes a victim of the cycle of birth and death. And no one can estimate how much the living entity is degraded by entering abominable species of life, such as cats and dogs. We think of cats and dogs are so cute and they're so fluffy and wonderful to play with. It's a very degraded life. You don't know when they're going to come back into human form of life so that they can try to make progress spiritually. In the dogs, it is said in the deity worship book that if we have a pet dog at home and if we are trying to become devotees and we are trying to make some offering to the Lord, but if the dog has seen that plate of food, when it is being offered to the Lord, it is not offerable anymore. It only talks about dogs. I don't know why. There must be something. It is seen so worst. And people keep dogs at homes, keep them on the, even sleep with them on the beds. It's not at all recommended. And what to speak of any other worship of any other demigod or any other process of self-realization? Only thing is, we have to somehow or other fix our mind on the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this takes lots and lots of practice. Practice after practice, practice. This is what sadhana bhakti is. Vedhi sadhana bhakti. Keep on doing and try to do it more and more and more with more determination, more sincerity. We have to do it. Mind will play all its games. Oh, in the morning, don't get up. It's too early. It's still dark outside. You're too tired and you have plenty of time to chant your 16 rounds. And whatever, all these excuses mind will give. But we have to get up means we have to get up. Whatever time we all fix for ourselves, it's best to get up Brahm Muhurat time, but I myself, I don't get up because I sleep late. So the point is, get up early, chant your rounds properly, and chant more than minimum 16 rounds. In fact, we should come to the level of chanting 64 rounds every day. We should push for that. Whatever we have to do, push for that. And service, and do the service, do the reading. Then there is some chance we can always think of the Lord. So this practice, this detachment, because ultimately, what else we need to do in our human form of life? Nothing else. Rest, everything will leave here. Only whatever we have done spiritually will go with us. So anyway, I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Prabhuji, you just said there are 9 processes or steps to chanting.
9 processes of devotional service.
9 processes of devotional service. Yes. What are those?
So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padsevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So Shravanam is hearing. Shravanam, Kirtanam is chanting. Vishnu Smaranam, remembering. Shravanam, Kirtanam. Padsevanam, worshipping the lotus feet. Padsevanam also means deity worship or going to Tirtha Yatra. Then Archanam, doing the Archana, worship. Vandanam, singing the glories of the Lord. Vandanam, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. Archana, Vandanam. Dasyam. Dasyam means serving the Lord as a servant.
Serving
Sakyam,
the Lord.
Sakyam as a friend. Atma Nivedanam, fully surrendering to the Lord.
I have a long way to go.
Oh, we all are in the same boat.
Prabhuji, in Hindi it's called Navda Bhakti, right?
Yes, Navda Bhakti.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mata. Okay, so we'll stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.